let your videos in by little. Alright, back. Stanley the fatty. The fat ass. Probably gonna stream this hour or two. Yeah, something like that. Wait, it's not AM, it's PM. Well, I guess. I'm gonna talk about the 12. That's what I'm saying. Don't tell Miguel. Let's go, Stanley the Bloodler. Okay. Welcome back. Feel free.
All of his co-workers were pleased. Are you really just doing this for the trophy?
I already have that trophy,
Click
fatty.
a door 5 times? Is that all you think a trophy is worth? No. I can't just give these merits away for
such the one hug rule.
A measly 5 clicks.
What?
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room,
and
Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Yes, truly a room worth admiring. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
No.
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
No, fine.
Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting. Really? I was in the middle of something. Do you have 0 consideration for others? Are you that convinced that I want something bad to happen to you? Why, I don't know how to convince you of this, but I really do want to help you, to show you something beautiful. Look, let me prove it. Let me prove that I'm on your side.
Let me in.
Give me a chance.
Let me in.
Listen carefully, this is important. Stanley walked through the red door.
Yes, that's what I'm trying to do.
Oh, thank God you are willing to listen to me.
Say shout out. What do you mean shout out? Shout out you. Shine out me.
The problem is all these choices.
And your name's already in the type red too. Can't be told you shout out to. No.
Don't you see
know what I'm saying? It is killing me. Stop looping me.
We would both be so much happier if we just stopped. And I think I have a solution.
Quit.
Here, let me show you.
Alright, I think I'm supposed to go.
What do we want?
Wait. Let's go at the end. There's never the end. There's never the end.
Gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Just remembered. Where's that new content door? Let's go.
Oh, good. You noticed my sign. Yes, I have something very exciting to show you.
Let's go. Money winning.
You see, Stanley, I've been reflecting
what game? Wait a minute, what game is this? This is the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe on PC, I think every console. Yeah, it's on PS4, 5, Xbox, Xbox Series X, Nintendo,
which is why
PC.
I'm very proud to announce for the first time ever the Stanley Parable 2.
Pretty good year. Played through it before, like, yeah.
Yes, you see,
this was pretty much where I was at.
Superior to a measly port with a few minor additions. Think of all the new territory we'll cover with a fully fledged sequel. An entirely new experience, built from the
I've
ground
already
up.
seen
Why there are
this.
so many...
He's kind of a little loud. Good luck to you, streamer. Thanks.
This is the story of a man named Stanley. This possibilities. It could go in so many different directions. This is what fans have truly been asking for. Now, to be clear, I haven't quite nailed down what exactly the Stanley Parable 2 is going to be. But let's take a look at some of the features I've been developing for it. I figure that if I can loosely organize a handful of interesting concepts, that surely the game will sort of naturally spring up around them.
Okay, where am I going? I'm going here. Let's go here.
For the Stanley Parable 2, I asked myself, what do players really want?
Perfect button.
And of course, the first and most obvious answer is that they want to be individually recognized and validated as people. So with that in mind, my first addition to the game is this button which speaks the name of the person playing the game. Sorry, I should have clarified. Right now, the button only says the name Jim.
Jim
Of
Myro.
course, in the final game, this button will say your name, whatever name that is. Here, let's have you role-play as Jim to really simulate the full experience of this feature. Just play along. I promise you'll love it. Okay, here we go. Let's take a deep breath, clear your mind, forget whoever you are, and simply become a person named
Let's go. Jim
I
now.
want you to imagine yourself living as Jim, sleeping and waking as Jim, falling in love and being heartbroken as Jim, seizing all of the world's possibilities as Jim, and as Jim watching your dreams crumble into dust. Do you feel it deeply?
Jim.
Whoa, hold on. I wasn't finished setting up the backstory. If you don't properly roleplay as Jim, then you'll never understand the impact of this button. Otherwise, it's just a stupid button that says somebody else's name.
Let's go. Intelligence.
Okay, we're doing it again, and this time let me finish first.
Oh.
Now, allow yourself to become Jim.
Jim.
Right, fine, whatever. It's just a meaningless button that says Jim. Are you happy now? Get out of here. I'm done with this button. Why don't you go humiliate me in front of a different feature that I worked very hard on? If you'd only played along, that would have been your name, the button says. But no. Instead, I can't even think about it. I'm taking the Jim button away.
No. Jim. No. I still can't get closer. Bugs. Lazy writing, I swear. There's that button. Might as well. Intelligence. There's sediments. Non-pediments.
Maybe I'll only let people named Jim play the Stanley Parable 2.
Yeah.
They would appreciate what I've created here.
Reassurance bucket. Let's go.
A common complaint of the Stanley Parable was that it was confusing and paradoxical.
Give me the bucket.
That it engendered a chaotic sense of recklessness
Find the cage.
in those who played it. Well, I'm happy to say that after much consideration,
Board members, please game us. Use the following terms as often as possible. Synergy, incentive, unpack, ping, deep dive.
You see, Stanley, anytime you're holding the bucket, a sense of calm and ease will fill your mind.
Bucket.
As long as you hold on to the bucket, the many disorienting contradictions
My music's too loud.
will feel perfectly normal and perhaps even comforting.
Give me the bucket.
Come to long for the gentle embrace of jarring cognitive dissonance while the bucket
Where's the skip button? Stop talking. Bucket.
It's a much more convenient.
Wait.
This is the story of a man who solution for me than actually redesigning the game to be less uncomfortable. Can you imagine what a pain in the ass that would be? Yes,
Give me the bucket.
the bucket is the perfect solution. Come on, give it a try.
Yay, bucket.
The glow of comfort, even in the face of crushing despair, must already be sweeping through your body. And in fact, can I say that I do believe the bucket lends you an air of charisma as well? I think that just holding it has made you the slightest bit more attractive as a person. The benefits of the bucket
Let's go.
on and on.
Let me out.
All this and more await you in the
And purple 2.
Does anyone give out awards for most enjoyable bucket in a video game?
Let's go here.
Really should be okay, I'll be honest, I haven't yet decided on this one.
What?
I think that in the new version, the office could use a bit of decoration, like balloons. But
Happy 12th birthday, Stephanie.
Well, someday, and happy 12th birthday. Which would you go with?
It's gonna be thumbnail. Happy 12th birthday, Stephanie's. Turn on.
You know, sometimes when you solicit another person's opinion, it makes you realize
So he does do the opposite.
one you actually really wanted all along.
I did want that one.
Birthday, Stephanie's, it is.
What? I don't know what that's talking about.
Maybe I should have gone with... No, I've made my decision. We're moving on.
Yeah, fatty. Quit talk. Okay, my sugar stats. Get these collectibles. Woo. My bucket. Let's see.
Now it's a real video game.
Yeah.
Stanley Parable 2, you'll run around gathering
I can see it rendering in.
figurines. And what's truly innovative is that there will be no reward for
Is it teleporting me back? Am I going slower?
Stifle the intrinsic joy of watching a number
There's nothing behind me.
Simply collect all of them, and then you
Could be terrible in VR. Let's go. So cute. My lips. My puffy cheeks. What? Dang.
God, it really is the worst when you collect everything in a video game.
Exit.
And then they give you a big fancy... Calling it the Stanley Parable 2 is just so much catchier than Ultra Deluxe, don't you think?
See what I'm saying?
What does it even mean? But all right, have you seen everything you wanted to? Ready to move on now?
Yeah, we're leaving. Fatty. My bucket. Fatty. No screenshots.
So, Stanley, what do you think? Do you like all of the new features?
Yes, especially this bucket. I like this bucket.
Exactly these features will come together.
I'm bet his name should be Jim.
Video game, but I can feel it in my soul. It's going to work. There's definitely a good game in there somewhere.
See, baby, said again.
Let's do an experiment. I'll arrange these new features together, and we'll see whether or not it coheres into a meaningful gameplay experience. Okay. Are you ready? Here it is.
Yeah.
I give you the Stanley Parable 2.
Let's go. Happy birthday, Stephanie's. Any more?
Well, I mean, there's potential here, right?
Achievement.
It's sort of. Okay, never mind. Hold on.
Jim.
Let me do a different arrangement. Okay, yes, this is much better. I feel good about this. Here we go. Version 2.
There. Even better.
Who am I kidding, Stanley?
Happy birthday, Stephanie's. Now it's the infinite hole.
And I do very much enjoy
Or mostly infinite hole.
add up to anything.
No, Jim.
I wanted more than anything to create a sequel that would capture all the magic of the first game. I wanted fans to love it. No matter how good these gags are, they won't stand on their own. They would need the structure and the gameplay of the original. Wait, maybe that's it. I can take the original Stanley Parable and simply, well, insert a few of my new features into it. Tastefully, of course. With respect. With care for the vision and integrity of the original game. Would it possibly work? I suppose it could. But it would need a really, really tremendous title screen. A title screen that says with bold and uncompromising conviction, this is the Stanley Parable 2. Let me see if I can whip something up. All right, perfect. Go ahead. Take a look.
Oh. Let's go. Back to
This is the story of a man.
Okay, it's the exact same. Let's go. Happy birthday. Happy 12th birthday, Stephanie.
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room.
Tell me, go.
Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Bucket.
Stanley picked up the bucket.
Yeah, the door's gone.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest
Yeah.
and entered the door on his left. Still no one was here. Stanley needed the bucket's warmth and comfort
Push
now
what?
more than ever. Perhaps his boss's office was where he'd find answers.
Okay. Broom closet.
Oh, Stanley, can you feel it? The broom closet. It wants the bucket.
No, it isn't. Are you feeling it now, Mr. Krabs?
It's as clear as day. This broom closet believes it deserves
Are you feeling it now, Mr. Krabs?
It's a bucket. It belongs in a broom closet. That's what the broom closet is trying to say here.
No, it's a broom closet, fatty.
Good for you, Stanley. Don't give in. Don't hand over the bucket. I know how hard it must be, given the pressure that the broom closet is putting on your shoulders right now, but you have to be coming to a staircase. Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office.
No, I walked down.
But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss, admitting he had left his post during work hours. He might be fired for
Let's go exit.
In such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished? His boss would think he was crazy. And then, something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself,
there's a circle.
I am crazy. He looked down
it is
his arms. Am I
Fat
crazy?
Clan.
He asked the bucket.
I am.
The bucket returned his gaze, but said nothing at all. And that's strange, Stanley thought. Usually the bucket is a source of guidance and wisdom for me in difficult times such as these. He held the bucket close.
That put me in trouble, fatty.
Familiar reassurance and comfort. And that's when Stanley realized, this isn't my bucket. It's just a normal, everyday bucket.
Not Jim, bro.
How did I end up with someone else's bucket? This is all terribly wrong. Surely no good would come from this. Who knows what sorts of bizarre hallucinations Stanley might experience without the
this is Patrick.
Presence of his bucket.
My bucket.
Now he noticed the rooms were repeating, which was, of course, very odd. Now he felt himself floating.
I've been noticing that. I'm getting taller.
My bucket, I've gone truly mad. Where is it? I must
I'm getting smaller. Tree height.
In the distance now, he heard it calling to him. Stanley, Stanley, it's me, the bucket. Could it truly be?
Bucket, is that you?
Passing by one bucket after the next.
Oh my gosh, so many buckets.
None of them were his special bucket.
What?
Come to me, Stanley. Find me. He had to find the bucket. He had to return to his old friend. It was the only way to truly restore his sanity. And then suddenly, he froze dead in his tracks. He knew where the voice of the bucket had been coming from.
Inside his head. Okay. I am the bucket.
It was incredibly.
I'm the bucket.
Stanley doubled over.
If there's the one you need to know, I am the mouth. What happened? Where are we going?
Of a woman named Mariella.
Mariella? Who dis?
Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed, picked up her bucket of comfort and security.
Don't tell me, Gil. No.
But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town, talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. Right away, she knew what the problem was. This man had no bucket. Of course he'd go mad, ranting and raving about a narrator describing all of his actions and how everything is predetermined and free will is an illusion and it's all just a video game. It could all have been prevented if only he'd taken his bucket with him. Perhaps he didn't even realize he'd forgotten his bucket at home in the first place. How cruel the world can be, Mariella thought. And she hugged her own bucket even tighter.
Cool.
Of course, she had no time
for
this.
Tell me,
a myriad of confusing problems she would soon have to confront at work.
Let's go. Happy 12th birthday, Stephanie. I'll tell you.
Total clarity on everything. Heck yes, she thought to herself. My life kicks ass. And she backflipped all the way to work.
Let's go. I said backflip. I backflipped. Fatty. It's gonna restart. It is. Happy 12th birthday, Stephanie.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Stanley lifted the bucket into his arms.
Wait input.
A wave of comfort rushed over him.
It's back. I can't do nothing. Okay, time to go to the boss's office.
Tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
Wish you could sprint.
Still no one was here. Stanley needed the bucket's warmth and comfort now more than ever.
Oh, boom,
Perhaps his boss's office was where, coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office.
So...
You found one of them.
Yay.
One of the miniature Stanley figurines. Remember, no reward for collecting all of these, only the intrinsic pleasure of a job well done. You can't buy that sort of happiness, Stanley. God knows I've tried. So, I implore you to savor each and every moment you come across one of these beautiful figurines.
To be rich, is it a crime? To commit crimes, isn't it rich? What a life it would be to have to pick just one. What's we're talking about? Fury. Cheesy, I don't be anyone. Sorry about that. What? Huh? Business strategy? Swear. Okay, let's go down. Dun 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 no no dun dun no 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 dun no no dun no 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 dun no 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 no. No 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 no. How long is this elevator ride? What? Is the elevator not going on? Hey, does this take too long? I don't think it goes anywhere. Maybe it does. 2845, I think, right?
Office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover an indication of any
Oh.
Crushed by the weight of this revelation, Stanley may have broken down into an emotional dumpster, but Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck. Was it the bucket knew all along? Was the bucket guiding him? Yes, this is certainly the most logical explanation.
Let's go.
Another miniature Stanley figurine. This, there really must be a snappier name for these things. What about mini-stands? Stanley figs? Or what about Stanlerines? Yes.
Stanlerines in the bed.
Another
So this makes sense.
under your belt.
Kinda like me stand so. Okay. Can I go up? No. Ooh. Don't tell Miguel.
The elevator raced downward, plummeting towards an unknown fate.
I'm unknown death, unknown peace here.
Stanley could do to keep himself together, if not for the bucket. Soothing him,
Sound about it. Sound about it. Sound. William Pugh. So we too.
The bucket is here for you, Stanley. Everything will be fine.
Can I go back up?
Wait, Stanley said to the bucket. Can we go back up? When I was pressing those keypad buttons, there was something very intriguing about the number 3. I want to go back so I can try pressing the number 3 again. The bucket said nothing.
Let's go. go.
Here we are, said Stanley. Now I'm going to try out that number 3 button. He took the bucket over to the keypad and began absolutely... Well, he said, the number 3 is such a special button. I'm having the time of my life. Stanley looked expectantly at the bucket, but the bucket remained silent. This was a shock to Stanley, who had always felt such a connection with the bucket. How was this not as exciting to the bucket as it was to him? Once Stanley had had enough of the number 3, he got back in the elevator.
8. 8. One more. Okay. Hashtag fat fam. Let's come back down.
Perhaps the bucket had missed something. Perhaps it had not seen how much joy Stanley got from slamming the number 3 repeatedly.
I don't know, man. Let's go.
No, said Stanley to the bucket. You can't go on yet. Not till you understand how much the number 3 means to me. You and I have been through so much together, and I just want you to see what I see. Feel the happiness I feel. He smiled at the bucket, and the bucket said nothing. Here we go, said Stanley. This time I'll really show you. He ran to the number 3 and began to wail on it like a musician on a beloved instrument, weaving a concerto of truth and passion. He wielded the number 3 like a fine artist would wield a paintbrush. He told stories through the number 3, stories of his dreams and hopes and fears. And the whole time, he looked to his bucket for a reaction of some kind. Anything to let him know that the bucket appreciated what he was doing. The bucket conveyed absolutely nothing at all, only silence. Crushed by a wave of dejection, Stanley returned to the elevator. Stanley and the bucket were so close. They'd always been there for one another. Why suddenly could the bucket not connect with this passion of Stanley's? The question caused Stanley to ruminate the whole way down the elevator. He knew that there must be a way to get through to the bucket, to communicate fully with his dear friend. Surely there was a solution, mustn't there be?
Don't tell me, girl. No. Did not want to go back up. Trying to do that over.
Said Stanley. I know what to do. I know how to fully express this feeling in my heart.
Okay.
He decided right then and there that he would hold a press conference where he would speak to the public on all matters relating to pressing the number 3 over and over. He would elaborate fully on what the number 3 meant to him and why he felt so alive when pressing it. Then the bucket would be able to see his joy through the eyes of others. It would get to see the world react to this discovery of Stanley's. And it would be through the public eye that the bucket would finally understand Stanley's work.
Let's go press conference.
For months he advertised and marketed his press conference, building excitement around it, developing and rehearsing it, until it couldn't be refined a single measure further. When the big day arrived, Stanley was as prepared as he'd ever been for anything in his life.
No. 2-stage. 427.
This was it. One last chance to win the bucket over. One opportunity to share a true connection with a loved one. There was no one here. Nobody had come to the press conference to hear
Well,
Stanley
it really means to be the number 3 and then to keep it over and over.
It really means to press the number 3 on a keypad over and over. He was unloved, uninteresting. He was a failure.
3.
And in that moment, Stanley knew that the bucket would never again take him seriously. There would be no connection, no deeper understanding. The bucket merely sat there in his arms, indifferent. And so it began that slowly, over many years, the two of them grew more and more distant. They spoke less and less, neither wishing to state the obvious, that any sense of real respect between them had eroded since that day at the press conference. There would be no more games, no more long conversations about passion and pursuit, only silence that consumed the space between friends. And Stanley, having for once in his life discovered the companionship, was cast back into the unremarkable normalcy of loneliness.
Bruh. It restarted doing it. Happy birthday, Stepneys.
What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. The confusion and the chaos all seemed to melt away as Stanley embraced
I read all, I remember it all. Never seen it was here. I remember it all.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door.
I remember it all. From Tim McGill, mission says, hey, this is new. Places to search. A large room, lots of boxes. A private but smelly place. Some were both red and blue. Stairs, something to do with stairs. And you? What was this? Warehouse access plan. Produce a plan. Okay. I want it all.
Coming to a staircase,
That's what I wanted.
walked upstairs to the boss's office.
Wait. Hi, Mr. Rage. Mr. Rage. I think these are locations for the figurines. Right?
What name better encapsulates
Yeah,
the intrinsic sense
maybe.
of happiness that you get from seeing a small number in the corner
Hi,
of your
Mr.
screen
Rage.
go by? I'm sure
Mr.
it will come
Rage.
to me.
What? Begin the game. Oh, good. I need to go back there.
A soft wind blew outside and perhaps rain started. And if it did, it
Boy,
stopped
it's a lot of
after.
boxes.
Stanley hoped that he would one day
Wait.
see weather.
Okay.
Warmth spread through Stanley's arms. With the bucket in his arms again, he was home.
I am home. So, fat. I just want to finish this game. Ooh, don't tell Miguel. He'll beat you up. He's gonna eat you too.
Entered the door on his left.
Hashtag weight loss. Bob the Nugget. How fat he really is. Let's see. Oh yeah, it definitely, yeah. It's the one, something about a large room, lots of boxes. Where could that be, Mr. Squidward? Where is a large room, lots of boxes? Gotta remember. Might just be on the other door. Cause there's the crates. Are those boxes? Guess they could be.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean?
Tiki
Stanley decided to go
can.
to the meeting room. Perhaps
Bucket.
he had simply missed a memo. Stanley
Bucket.
picked up the bucket and smiled. He'd never be alone again. Not truly alone.
I saw myself. Like a tiki can.
This was not the correct way to the meeting
Shut up.
room.
Ready.
Stanley had felt the bucket
Miguel.
calling to him, telling him that the empire
Quick, I just want to get these collectibles. Collectibles.
Was this no? Never mind.
Wait, would that be? Nah, this leads me to the. Wait, would this be a large room with lots of boxes? Hold up.
No, said the bucket.
Don't go to the meeting room. Go
Thank you
somewhere
back
else. The cargo lift. Yeah, good.
there. Now
Now ride
over
the lift
there.
all the way to the top. There's
Wait.
something up there I need you to do.
How would I get over there?
Question why or how this bucket was speaking to him. It should have alarmed him, of course, because buckets can't talk. But Stanley chose not to think about this obvious
Did I
fact.
climb the buckets? How would I get over
The
there?
bucket had spoken to him, and he unthinkingly did whatever the bucket asked.
Fatty.
No, stop. Look there on
No.
the wall. See, there's a sign right there. It says, no
No
buckets,
buckets past this point.
Stanley, how could you think it was okay
Point.
to bring
You know
a
who
bucket
I
here?
hate?
Unless, what if the problem is that you actually don't know what is a bucket? and what
37
isn't a bucket? I suppose
ready.
that would explain a lot about your
How long have I been
behavior
streaming?
to this point.
35 minutes.
If that's true,
36,
well,
but
my goodness, I think we have to do something about it. This misunderstanding could have dire consequences on the entire rest
Quit.
of the game.
My bucket.
If not addressed quickly and properly.
Stop
So
talking.
much of
Over
the
the skip
impact of
button.
the story is dependent on your understanding of what is and isn't a bucket. Please, step in here for a moment.
Oh.
Now then, I'm going to run you through some test scenarios, and you'll tell me whether or not the thing I'm showing you is a bucket. Simple enough, right? This should tell us everything we'll ever need to know about what is or is not a bucket. Okay, let's begin. Item 1. Is this a bucket? Correct. It is a hologram of a bucket,
There.
not an actual bucket. Item 2. Is this a bucket?
No.
Correct. It is a 3D printed recreation of a bucket, not an actual bucket. Item 3. Is this a bucket? Incorrect. This is a bucket. Item 4. Is this a bucket?
No.
Are you hallucinating? This is a tractor. It's an enormous machine that tills the earth. I thought this was a gimmick. How on earth did you manage to screw it up? Absolutely incredible. Let's just move on to the next one. Is this a bucket? Correct. This is a bucket. Item 6. Is this a bucket? Trick question. Both. Gotcha. Item... Wait, hold on. I can't find the next one. Let me see. It should be around here somewhere. Okay, you and I both know there isn't anything here. And I don't appreciate the implication that nothing is a bucket when we both clearly know that a bucket is something, and therefore nothing could possibly be something. Unless, in your twisted mind, have you somehow convinced yourself that a bucket is nothing? Answer me straight, Stanley. Do you believe that nothing is a bucket? You know what? I'm too confused to even sort it out. I've lost all sense of perspective. What is a bucket? What isn't a bucket? Mere moments ago I could answer these questions with confidence. And yet now I'm somewhat adrift. Do any of us know what a bucket is? Am I a bucket? Stanley, I can't keep doing this. I'm losing myself, and myself was all I ever had to begin with. I'm afraid the bucket is threatening to tear our relationship apart.
Oh, look, you got... Oh, what? Glitch. Lazy writing. Lazy writing. Wait. Oh, did it reset?
What happened? Is
Oh,
everything
never mind.
gone? Why did everything disappear? Wait, was everything a bucket? Every
Yes.
single thing in the game was a bucket.
Barton.
My God, I had no
Ho ho
idea.
ho.
How could...
Nope.
Except me. I'm not a
Barton.
bucket after all.
Bar
And you, Stanley, you're still here. You're not a bucket either.
my
No,
mom,
this is
man.
wonderful news. We're not buckets.
We are
Yes,
buckets.
I actually feel much more at ease right now. It's delightful to get
Ah.
some clarity on that issue, but it doesn't change the fact that we haven't got a game.
Take one
So,
turkey,
tell
come
you
back.
what,
See you
I'll
in line.
reset everything, and we'll put back all of the buckets, okay? And we'll know that it's all a bucket. But if you run into anyone else, maybe don't mention that. Who knows what that information might do to a person. All right, here we go.
Wanna slow? Pause in the sky like it's 2054. Don't tell Fury. Don't tell Fury. Fury, where are you?
His co-workers were gone. What could it mean?
Wait.
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. The good old bucket. Just Stanley and the bucket. Off on another thrilling adventure together.
Shh. No, it's on, I'm speaking to you.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his... This was not the correct way to the meeting room. But Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee...
Yeah, called you fat 5 times in a row.
And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct?
I'm Paper Pig.
Never mind. The bucket was wrong.
Stanley took the door left to go back in the sky like it's 2054.
No,
said the bucket.
don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. The cargo lift, yes. Go there. Go to the cargo lift.
Mine.
You're getting close now, Stanley. You've nearly gotten all of the Figler and Marines. Very soon,
What?
you'll collect the last one. And then the first number will equal the second number. And that will be it. We'll be different people by then. Different in the sense that we used to have...
My stand figurines, my
You can't go back
booty
to
hole lickers.
Figler and Marines. None of us can.
Figurines? Tangerines? Loading dot? Could I survive this fall? If I land in a box of pillows. But, you know, tell me, go. What's this? There's so many doors we can't even open them.
Okay, this is day number 295. Tape number... I don't even know.
Narrator sound system.
Nothing feels real anymore. The longer I study this bucket, the less sense anything makes.
These new levels are cool. Yeah.
Sheer euphoria I feel every
There's
time
so many endings.
I pick it up. No matter how
I'm
many times I've
trying to
done it,
collect these figurines and I keep
always
finding something
the
else.
Same feeling. And the emptiness in my chest when I set it down. It doesn't make sense. There's no explanation for it. I still haven't figured out why I see the world so differently when this bucket is in my arms.
And so is the bucket Fury.
Why everything feels so... What do I do with this treasure? I can monetize it.
Everyone loves the bucket.
It's unthinkable.
How long is this recording?
People will pay for even just an hour with the bucket. This
Can Cassetto record this long?
ticket. But I have to be careful, because as soon as this gets out, there's going to be a target on my back. Even now, I don't know who might be trying to get me.
There.
What's that? Who's there?
Don't tell me go. Yeah. Who this? New cut. Was that an ending too? It was.
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room to check on
his co-workers. Meeting today. My bucket.
Today, the bucket asked.
Stanley everywhere.
Smiled. Anywhere they went together would be perfectly fine.
I need that figurine.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? No, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room.
No,
said the bucket.
Don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. The cargo lift, yes. Go. Good, said the bucket. Now ride the lift all the way to the top. There's something up there I need you to do.
Stanley did not question why or how this bucket was speaking to him. It should have alarmed him, of course, because buckets can't talk. But Stanley chose not to think about this obvious fact. He was firmly convinced that the bucket had spoken to him, and he unthinkingly did whatever the bucket asked. No, stop. Look there on the wall. You see, there's a sign right there. It says...
Wait. They have to go there without the bucket. Guess I'll try it.
This was a distant memory.
It's the only time I'm leaving the bucket behind me.
Painting. Was it a painting or a photo?
Sorry, bucket.
He could no longer recall.
I don't want greens putting us on for speed. I want that next time.
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire. Stanley felt lightheaded, butterflies in his stomach. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
No, I didn't, fatty. Chia, you know that I'm hungry, take all my money, Let's go. Penalty for jumping off the lift, $5,000.
Look, Stanley, I think perhaps
my insurance will cover it.
I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not.
Give me a key.
Someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting. What? Really? I was in the middle of something. Do you have zero consideration for others? Are you that convinced that I want something bad to happen to you?
Yes.
Why, I don't know how to convince you of this, but I really do want to help you, to show you something beautiful. Look,
where's my Stanurine?
Let me prove that
Stanurine.
The last
Stiggly Wiggly.
Savor this moment, Stanley. This is a real accomplishment. This is doing something just
get back to playing that game.
Where so many people expect to be rewarded for the most trivial achievements, you've insisted that a job well done is its own reward. I would tell you that I'm proud of you for collecting them all, but that would be like a reward, and we can't have that. So, instead, it's done. We're all done here. And now we can go to whatever the hell you were doing before you hunted for figurines.
Well, I got them all.
Now listen carefully, this is...
No, it's not. Bucket time. What?
Stanley, I'm sorry, but I have to put a pause on things. It's just...
What is this? Those figlies?
I haven't stopped thinking about them since you nabbed every last one. Wasn't it just the most intrinsically fulfilling moment of your entire life? Didn't it fill you to the brim with inner richness? Yes, I know we're supposed to be telling a story, but won't you please indulge me with one more trip back to the memory zone? I would love nothing more than to revisit the figurines just one more time.
Okay. Where am I going? Okay. Memory den. This is the memory zone theory. Memories. Let's go. The memory zone was here yesterday, but I don't think you saw it. You already know, 2013, when it was released. Here it is on Steam. I mean, pressurized gas. Not Steam. Missing a reward. Audience award. The British Academy of Films, definitely for Stanley Parable and not The Last of Us. Good times, good times. The original remake. Ooh, you already know. Boxes. Memory den.
The first collectible.
Let's go.
We had no idea of how many of them we'd find. Sure, it said 6 right there on the screen, but how could we know for certain? We were so innocent. We'll never be like that again, Stanley.
Let's go. Coming up. Executive bathroom. Let's go.
You found this one all on your own, just by poking around in the boss's bathroom. You did that, Stanley. I'll be honest. Back then, I had no faith in you to find any of them, let alone 6. But you continue to surprise me in all sorts of mundane, unremarkable ways. Okay, let's do a little quiz. Which of these rooms was the room you found your 3rd mini stand? Can you remember? Hey, that's exactly right. It was here, behind the boss's office. It was the 3rd one. You picked it up, and then after that, you had 3 of them. I'm glad these moments are so crystal clear in your memory, but I shouldn't be surprised. After all, science tells us that it's impossible to forget your 3rd time doing anything.
Ooh.
Let's see, what came next? Oh yes, we found a Figley in this
picture. Oh yeah, I remember that.
I can't actually
Definitely.
say I remember being in this room, but it's here in the memory zone, so it must have happened.
Yep.
This was the 5th mini stand, and this
exactly
one
how
was
I
really
remember it.
Special. It was in the warehouse. I remember it so clearly. In fact, because this one is particularly special to me, I made a little video to commemorate the occasion. Enjoy.
Huh. 2013. Very good, 10 out of 10. Would recommend. See, now this is my kind of video. Nice 4K, high quality pixels, perfect bitrate, amazing images, 10 out of 10. Let's go.
Takes you back, doesn't it? I spent a lot of time making that video, but it was 8 minutes I wouldn't have spent on anything else.
Let's go.
And then, Stanley, then we came to the last collectible, the final figurine, right here by the red and blue doors. This memory is the most distinct and clear in my mind, perhaps because it was the one that happened more recently than all the others.
Yeah.
Who can truly say how the mind works? All I know is that this is the moment where you picked up a Figley and I thought to myself, yes, that's all of them. They're all collected. It was a moment unlike any other. Except for the other moments picking up figurines, which it was exactly like.
Creep for life. Let's go.
And then there was
That's me.
Because we've caught up to the present moment. Nothing left to do but move onward into the future. Goodbye, memory zone.
No, the past. Why is it taking so long to load?
No, I'm not done. I'm not
Knew
ready
it.
to move on.
PS5 don't load this slow.
Isn't there some way we can stay here, keep enjoying these figurines? Let's just
The reverse loading screen.
We'll do the memory zone again
I like my new TV.
See how that feels.
Now this is what we call style. Crip for life.
Okay, yes, the room with the red and blue doors. I remember this. I must say, of all the figurines we looked at in our initial tour of the memory zone, this one is the most distinct and clear in my mind. Let's keep going, I want more. And here's where I made that video. Don't you remember the video we watched?
Oh my god.
Yes, I love that video.
I love it too.
Still don't remember the pink room, Stanley.
Nah, I do perfectly.
This one. Good room though. A solid room. These really were a treat to hunt down. You know, if there had been any kind of reward for finding all of these, it really would have muted the intrinsic joy of collecting them. I'm very glad we resisted the temptation. Next one. This was our second Figley. Don't you remember? Yes, I remember it too. The past is truly a wonderful thing. Why does anyone ever choose to leave it? Keep going. This is it. The very first one we found in the exhibit where I introduced you to the figurines. Oh, I want more memories, Stanley.
Let's go.
What else is there? What came before this? Look, it's the terrible new content that we were originally sold on. I remember.
Personally, my favorite.
But time does put a rosy filter on everything. In fact, oh yes, the two doors. Who could have forgotten that? A classic memory, this one.
My office.
Everything else, there was your office. Is there anything else? Was there something that came before your office? There's something I feel I can remember. I can remember. Yes, I'm remembering something now.
Oh,
I remember
same me.
before this whole story got started. Back then I was different. I used to make big decisions. I was passionate. I was skeptical. I weighed each decision with profound thoughtfulness. And then somewhere along the way, I stopped making decisions. I became lazy. And I came up with a character named Stanley to do my thinking for me. He would make the decisions. He would decide which way to go. I would cheer him on as he collected figurines for no reason. Why did I invent Stanley? Was I lonely? Yes, perhaps that's it. Perhaps I needed to imagine I had companionship. And Stanley really did make for a wonderful companion, even if he was a fiction. But I suppose it's grown old. I want to think for myself again.
I type with one hand and one finger.
Yes, I can be on my own again. I can do it. I'll be stronger this time. I'll take care
Please
of
press J on your
I don't need
keyboard.
Stanley anymore. Oh, but he truly was so much fun to play with. You know what? Since we're in the memory zone, how about one more good memory? Let's go back just once and give Stanley one more run of the office, and then I'll retire him for good. I did enjoy telling this story so very much. Okay, here we go. This is the story of a man named Stanley. Stanley had never seen the office this brightly lit. Was it a sign of something? He hoped it was. A good bucket, a strong bucket, a humble bucket, a committed bucket.
a bucket of culture and distinction. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left. Still no one was here. Stanley needed the bucket's warmth and comfort now more than ever. Perhaps his boss's office was where he'd find out. Oh, Stanley, can you feel it? The broom coming to a stand. Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office.
Oh, gotta collapse. Let me in. It's cold.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Crushed, but Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck. Was it that the bucket knew all along? Was the bucket guiding him? Yes.
But explode.
Explanation. Stanley and the bucket walked straight ahead through the large door that read, Mind Control. Although this passageway had the word escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall, Stanley and the bucket would both meet a violent death.
It's cool.
The door behind them was not
Hashtag
shut.
bucket talk.
Stanley and the
I'm a
bucket still
bucket.
had every
I'm tunnel.
opportunity to turn around and get back on track.
I'm a bucket. I'm a
At this point,
bucket. Don't
Stanley and the
tell
bucket
no
were knowingly
one.
walking forward into a very painful death for each of them.
Tell Miguel. Let's go.
As the machine whirred into motion and Stanley and the bucket inched closer to their demise, Stanley reflected on how meaningless the bucket's warmth and comfort had turned out to be. To be sure, it puts the mind and the soul at ease to embrace the bucket, but what use is a sense of ease when you're about to be crushed to death? This is what Stanley thought to himself, and he sort of kicked himself for wasting so much time carrying a bucket everywhere. Farewell, Stanley.
Farewell, Stanley, cried the narrator, as Stanley and the bucket were led helplessly into the enormous metal jaws. In a single visceral instant, the bucket's life came to an end, as it was crushed violently to death.
Don't tell Miguel. Let's go. Tell Miguel.
It was a shame, the death of such a magnificent bucket. It's true that all buckets are radiant in their own way, but this one stood above the rest. It was a glorious bucket to behold.
It's been an hour. Let's go. Bucket.
Can you see how arrogant it was
Bucket.
for Stanley
I
to
like
take a
buckets.
bucket like this and to
Let me
claim
grab
it for
this
his
bucket.
own? Can you
My
see the
bucket.
hubris that blinded him? Can you see that the bucket is far more noble than Stanley will ever be in his short life? No man can own a bucket, and certainly not a bucket as dazzling to behold as this one.
Ooh, Tech
It is
9.
man
Hey.
who should kneel before the bucket.
Let's go. Hanging bucket. People might hear this.
There is something we can do. Something we can do together, you and I, that will right this terrible wrong. Let Stanley die. Let him be crushed by the machine. Don't reset the game. Don't give him another opportunity to run off with another beautiful bucket. We can save the world's buckets from their treatment as tools and implements if only we let Stanley die together. The bucket shall take its place as
No.
as leader, as commander of a new world, a new vision.
No. They gonna take a fish hole. They gonna rumble. They gonna take a fish.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps
Alright, Bucket.
the embrace of an old friend, a weathered companionship that stands the test of time. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left. Still no one was here. Stanley needed the bucket's warmth and comfort now more than ever. Perhaps his boss's office was where he'd find answers. Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office. Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Crushed by the weight of... But Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck. Was it that the bucket knew all along? Was the bucket guiding him? Yes, this is certainly the most logical explanation. Stanley and the bucket walked straight ahead through the large door that read, Mind Control Facility. The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley and the bucket both wondered to themselves. The monitors jumped to life, and Stanley nearly dropped the bucket in shock. Everyone in the office was being videotaped, monitored like guinea pigs. The bucket had never seen anything like this, and it very nearly burst into tears as Stanley cradled it gently, reassuring it that everything would be fine. Was the bucket under the mind control facility's influence as well? Had the bucket been told to do things it didn't wish to do? What kinds of things does a bucket want to do or not want to do in the first place? These questions raced furiously in Stanley's feeble mind. No! He screamed into the bucket. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control, never! He squeezed the bucket tighter. His one friend in the entire world. At this point, he could trust no one except for the bucket. But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions, happy or sad or content. Walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he and the bucket would dismantle the controls for good. Two best friends. But at the last second, the bucket jumped in and pressed the button to turn on the controls. Stanley gasped in horror. Had this been the bucket's plan all along? To take over the machine and claim the power for itself? How could the bucket have betrayed him like this? Stanley was prepared to throw the bucket away in disgust when suddenly an image appeared upon the enormous screen. Birds. Silly, silly birds. the control buttons became active again. Stanley flipped through one video of silly birds after another, and then it dawned on him. This wasn't a mind control facility at all. It was a facility for monitoring and surveilling silly birds all over the world. The mind controls were only a facade to disguise its true intentions. Had the bucket known this all along? Stanley marveled at the metal genius in his hands, the one who had pointed him towards this incredible discovery. Stanley and the bucket never found freedom because they spent the rest of their lives here in this place, flipping through live streams of the silliest birds imaginable. Of all the possible paths his life could have taken, this one was surely the best. And Stanley was happy. All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. The bucket made Stanley want to be a better man and a better co-worker. In time, perhaps, he would become both of those things. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? Was this... No, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back, and so the two of them detoured through the maintenance section and walked straight ahead to the opposite door.
Don't tell me go.
Oh, good Stanley. I'm glad you found your way here. I knew you'd find this place eventually.
Oh my god.
You see, your friends and I
The lion's back.
Stanley. We've come together here because we care about you very much. It's this bucket you're carrying around everywhere. The bucket isn't even from the original Stanley Parable. It's just sequel content. We're the ones that matter, Stanley. Classic characters from the first game, like the Adventure Line and the Broom Closet. Because that's what fans want from a sequel.
Oh, I didn't get the 888 trophy free. Why you keep telling me this?
Bucket that they've never seen before. Yes, I know I'm the one who gave you the bucket, but you're spending too much time with it. Don't you want another story involving the Adventure Line? We could make the Adventure Line go somewhere new. Yes, yes, that's what the fans want. Let's do it. Whee! Look at that wacky line. Who knows where it'll go off to next? Oh, and it played some silly music as well. Now this is what the Stanley Parable is all about. Don't you remember all those great jokes from the original dialogue?
Just go to the boss office and click the 8 number on the keypad. But I did do that. It's as
classic now as it was back then. Let's do it for the fans, Stanley. Let's give them more content exactly like this. But if we want to do that,
sure, not to restart, to do it. I'll try that for this.
We need to get rid of the bucket. That's why I'm very proud to introduce a brand new character. This is the Bucket Destroyer.
No.
I think it'll make a wonderful new addition to the rich lore of the Stanley Parable. True, it also was not in the original game, but it's such a well-fleshed-out character with so much personality that to me it already feels as though it's been part of the cast all along. Don't you agree? Can you guess what the Bucket Destroyer does? Surely you don't need me to spell it out for you.
Press A multiple times without any other number.
Say goodbye to the bucket, and then pop it into the machine when you're ready.
I don't want to get rid of my bucket.
It's crucial that you give it the bucket. I don't know what the Bucket Destroyer will do if it can't destroy your bucket. Destroying buckets is all it knows. That is its singular personality trait.
Sure, I can hear you saying, how does a character with only one personality trait deserve to join the pantheon of beloved Stanley Parable characters? Well, you see, if you were to really explore the Bucket Destroyer, you would see that its desire to crush buckets is so densely loaded with complexity and nuance that it's really like 10 personality traits. What other object in this game can you even say that about? The broom closet? Certainly not. I wonder what sort of Bucket Destroyer merchandise the fans will be clamoring for after this. Okay, the Bucket Destroyer is getting very upset now. You'll have to hurry and feed it. We can't get back to the classic Stanley Parable characters like the Adventure Line or the Bucket Destroyer until you crush that damn bucket. Quickly now, the fans are waiting. Do it, the fans, Stanley. Give the fans what they want. Hurry and...
Damn, no time ago. What? Oh, the Bucket Destroyer.
The Bucket Destroyer. My prized creation. You had so much potential. We were going to do such marvelous things with you, tell such spell-binding stories about you. All of it squandered now. Goodbye, new friend. For the moment in time that you were here, you were...
What do you mean by a teleporter thing? I don't remember any teleporting.
Stanley knew the office layout like the back of his hand. It was only a matter of time before he found the others, wherever they were. Just a matter of... Not everyone is so lucky to have a bucket, but Stanley is a very lucky fellow. Very lucky indeed. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left. Still no one was here. Stanley needed the bucket's warmth and comfort now more than ever. Perhaps his boss's office was where he'd find answers. Oh, Stanley, can you feel it? The broom closet. Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office. Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Crushed by the weight of this revelation, Stanley may have broken free to an emotional dumpster fire, if not for the soothing presence of the bucket. Even now, in his darkest of hours, let the bucket's warmth and guiding light pierce the dark clouds of confusion and chaos. It would be with him always.
Wait. Trophies halfway there. What else do I need?
The bucket worked, and he knew it. The two of them were inseparable. At this point, Stanley was so
I forgot how you do it, but I think I go halfway into the bus office with the gate takes you in. So the doors will close without you in the office, and then you'll go to the back here.
Did he have any notion that the pin number for the keypad was 2?
Near your office, there'd be a door that is open. What? There's not an open.
Was I sitting there? Stanley wondered to himself. Minutes? Days? Centuries? Did something crucial happen while my senses were turned? He made a note to be more careful. It takes a lot of humility to carry a bucket so magnificent. Stanley checked his ego and then proceeded onward. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly
I don't know what else I'm missing.
And entered the door on his left.
What else do I have to do?
The correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? Never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room.
No,
said the bucket.
Don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else.
Go this way again.
Cargo lift, yeah, good, said the bucket. Now ride the lift all the way to the top. There's something up there I need you to do.
Stanley did not question why or how this bucket was speaking to him. It should have alarmed him, of course, because buckets can't talk. But Stanley chose not to think about this obvious fact. He was firmly convinced that But Stanley feared that any path he walked might lead to the separation of himself and the bucket, his dearest friend. So he threw himself to his death, that they might die in one another's arms. How deeply touching.
Another ending. Why is it so deep? I'll be right back, but I'll send you a video.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean?
Okay.
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Stanley cradled the bucket in a gentle embrace.
And I know it works because I tried it.
Assertive, yet compassionate.
Hey, wait. No, wait. No, it's the same. Wait. It's different.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? Was it? No, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room.
No,
said the bucket.
don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. The cargo lift. Good,
said the bucket.
Now ride the lift all the way to the top. There's something up there I need you to do.
Stanley did not question why or how this bucket was speaking to him. It should have alarmed him, of course, because buckets can't talk. But Stanley chose not to think about this obvious fact. He was firmly convinced that the bucket had spoken to him, and he unthinkingly did whatever the bucket asked.
In here,
said the bucket.
Go into this dark room over here.
Stanley once again obeyed blindly.
Now pick up the phone.
I never picked it up.
This is the sad story of a man named Stanley and his bucket. Once upon a time, I gave Stanley a bucket because I thought he was lonely and could use a friend. And then, very distressingly, he began to believe the bucket could speak to him.
Bucket.
The Stanley Parable Reassurance Bucket was merely meant to provide the comforting glow of companionship. It doesn't literally talk and give you orders. Whatever Stanley is hearing the bucket say to him is just in his head.
Bucket.
Lately, I've been concerned about him. Wouldn't you be concerned as well? To see him delusional like this, obsessing over an inanimate metal object.
I'm not even reading it.
I want to say something to him, but I don't
Bucket,
know how
tell me something.
I don't know if he'll listen to me.
Hungry.
Well, I'll try anyway. Stanley, can you hear me? Listen to me. It's just a bucket. It can't think, it can't talk. All it would ever truly do for you is effectively transfer a liquid from one location to a different location. That's it. It doesn't do anything else. You see, he's not listening. He's still taking orders from the bucket.
Oh.
You know, once upon a time, it was me he took orders from. Me he trusted and listened to. Now
We
all
have
he
no
cares about is this
reflection.
awful bucket,
Vampire.
this stupid hunk of metal. It's sad. I suppose he doesn't need me anymore. From now on, he's just going to cling to this bucket, this cold, empty bucket, this sort of shiny bucket. Well, I'll give it this. The bucket does have a nice shine to it. Yes, I suppose on closer inspection, that it doesn't quite look like your average hardware store bucket. It's just a little more, what am I trying to say? Sturdier, more capable of transporting liquid. Like it would be better at moving an amount of water from one room to another. Oh my God, what am I saying? Better at carrying water from room to room. It's a bucket. It's literally just a bucket. Why do I feel some need to point out the ways in which it's so much more than just a regular bucket? Oh no. I'm having feelings.
So, falling in love with the bucket. Hey, you know?
Why do I want to be
No,
with the
do
bucket?
you?
Hear
You
what
know
the
what
bucket
we're
has to
doing
say.
here.
Do anything it asks.
But
What's
what the
wrong with you?
hell?
I don't understand.
Huh?
Perhaps if I had the bucket, this would be less confusing.
For
Yes.
what?
The bucket could tell me what to do
What?
in this troublesome
No.
situation. Stanley, give me the bucket. Give it to me. Give me the
No.
bucket, Stanley. I need it.
Argument.
Give it to me now. Give it or I'll...
On das Haus. Go back to work, Stanley. And me out like a lightning, like a light. Said it.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley
Wait.
decided to go to the meeting
Wait.
room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
That looks new.
Bucket. The only co-worker he would ever truly need.
What? Huh? When could I?
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left. Still no one was here. Stanley needed the bucket's warmth and comfort now more than ever. Perhaps his boss's office was where, coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office.
Stairs.
But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss, admitting he had left his post during work hours. He might be fined for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished? His boss would think he was crazy. And then, something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. He looked down at the bucket in his arms. Am I crazy? He asked the bucket. The bucket returned his gaze, but said nothing at all. That's strange, Stanley thought. Usually the bucket is a source of guidance and wisdom for me.
How many
in
endings
difficult
are there?
times such as these.
It's just an
He
ending
held
with the
the bucket
bucket.
close, yet felt none of its familiar reassurance.
Am I already
and comfort.
done? Do I just need
And that's when
achievements?
Stanley realized, this isn't my bucket. It's just a normal, everyday bucket. Someone else's bucket, perhaps. How did I end up with someone else's bucket? This is all terribly wrong. Surely no good would come from this. Who knows what sorts of bizarre hallucinations Stanley might experience without the psychologically grounding presence of his bucket. And indeed, now he noticed that the rooms were repeating, which was, of course, very odd. Now he felt himself floating off the ground. Oh, gracious, he exclaimed. Without my bucket, I've gone truly mad. Where is it? I must find it. Far off in the distance now, he heard it, calling to him.
Stanley! Stanley, it's me! The bucket!
Could it truly be? He rushed forward from room to room, passing by one bucket after the next. None of them were his. None of them were his special bucket.
I did this.
Come to me, Stanley! Find me!
He had to find the bucket. He had to return to his old friend. It was the only way to truly restore his sanity. And then suddenly, he froze dead in his tracks. He knew where the voice of the bucket had been coming from. The real bucket was inside of him all along. It was incredibly painful. Stanley doubled over in agony and blacked out. This is the story of a woman named Mariella. Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed, picked up her bucket of comfort and security, and walked to her place of work. But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted.
Oh my god. What?
Is Stanley, without the bucket, really Stanley? Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door.
It keeps getting smaller. I knew it was changing.
Still no one was here. Stanley needed the bucket's warmth and comfort now more than ever. Perhaps his boss's office was where he'd... Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office. Stepping in...
Fat plan. I just bug the game.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. As Stanley lifted his bucket, he felt a connection to all buckets everywhere. This adventure, he decided, was for all of them. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left. Still no one was here. Stanley needed the bucket's warmth and comfort now more than ever. Perhaps his boss's office was coming to a staircase. Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office. Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human
Oh my
life.
god, they're wrong.
Crushed by the weight of this revelation, Stanley may have broken down into an
After
emotional
this,
dumpster
I might
fire,
end
if not for
stream.
this, but Stanley guessed the correct
been
time by sheer luck.
An hour 33 again, like yesterday, so it was more close to 2 hours yesterday.
This is certainly the most logical.
So I'm gonna do this ending, nothing changes, I'm in stream. Maybe I'll stream it again. Or I might just, this could be the end of the stream, so I don't know. Just probably a lot of enemies I'm missing out on. But I don't know. Probably have to. I'll probably look at a video after this or something.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley and the bucket both wondered to themselves. monitors jumped to life, and Stanley nearly dropped the bucket in shock. Everyone in the office was being videotaped, monitored like guinea pigs. The bucket had never seen anything like this, and it very nearly burst into tears as Stanley cradled it gently, reassuring it that everything would be fine. Was the bucket under the mind control facility's influence as well? Had the bucket been told to do things it didn't wish to do? What kinds of things does a bucket want to do or not want to do in the first place? These questions raced furiously in Stanley's feeble mind. No! He screamed into the bucket. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control, never! He squeezed the bucket tighter, his one friend in the entire world. At this point, he could trust no one except for the bucket. But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions, happy or sad or content. Walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machine... Stanley and the bucket waited in blackness. Was it over? Yes, they had done it. Stanley and the bucket had defeated their greatest and darkest enemy, freed themselves from the tyrannical grip of the evil mind control machine. Freedom was now mere moments away. Excitedly, the two of them began to discuss the kind of life they wanted to live once they stepped through this massive door. The bucket wanted to learn to roller skate. Stanley wanted to sneeze in every country on Earth. Both of them wanted to begin watching a movie, any movie, but then stop it halfway through and begin watching it in reverse from the end. True, it was a simple life they envisioned, but it was one they'd lived together, with one another to lean on, to trust, to support. Wait, what was happening? Why had the door stopped? Was Stanley and the bucket not about to be freed? An unbearable silence filled the room, lingering in uncertainty, until finally the truth hit Stanley square in the face. This building did not want the bucket to leave. Even the facility itself recognized the incredible calming presence of the bucket, needed the soothing warmth of the bucket, would go to any lengths not to part with the bucket. No. Stanley can't leave this place, not while he has such a precious bucket in his arms, not while this building has anything to say about it. Stanley realized he would never again leave this very room, but at least he has the bucket. To be trapped eternally in darkness isn't really so bad, Stanley thought to himself. As long as I have my bucket with me, right? I'll be okay, won't I? Stanley gulped. Very soon now, he was about to find out. Someone was following Stanley. He was sure of it. If he checked over his shoulder now, he would surely catch them. It was only a matter of time.
What?
What new mysteries lay in store for our bucket-loving heroes today? Let's find out. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? Was it no? Never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the... And so the two of them detoured through the maintenance section and walked straight ahead to the opposite door. Still no one was here. Stanley needed the bucket's warmth and comfort now more than ever. Perhaps his boss's office was where he'd find answers. Oh, Stanley, can you feel it? The broom closet. It wants the bucket. You can feel coming to a staircase. Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office.
Alright. Well, this is where an end stream might do another one later tomorrow. If there's still things for me to do, this is probably the end. Yeah. Good ending, goodbye. Good rest of your day or night. Well, don't tell Miguel, he'll be up. Hungry, cause I'm fat. Yeah. Good. Bye.